Hi everybody, it's Russell Markham here from VectorVest, and I've got a very interesting exercise. I'm going to benchmark the big four banks against each other. Which bank stands out? Is there a bank that stands out? So let's go and see how they've performed relative to each other. In addition, I'm going to throw in a twist. Stick to the end to see the twist. Very, very interesting analysis. Now, just before we get going today, please note our license numbers. In addition, general advice only. I cannot take into account your personal financial circumstances. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. With that said, I'm jumping straight into VectorVest. We've got this wonderful tool in VectorVest that allows us to benchmark stocks against each other. ETFs, you name it, we can put it all in here. It's called our performance graph, and what I'm doing today is I'm going to benchmark the banks against each other. So first up, Westpac Bank. Here we go. Here's Westpac Bank's performance. So going back as of 2 January 2007 through to 28 April 2025. Go back 18 years, we'll have a starting point at 0%. All right, so we're effectively starting off at 0% returns. How has Westpac Bank performed thereafter? You can see here, so moving on, and by 2015 it was up 65 odd percent, and by 2020 it was down 35%, and here as of 28 April 2025, just over 35% returns. So that's been the journey, right? I'll put in NAB. How does NAB stack up relative to Westpac Bank? And you can see here that NAB has underperformed Westpac Bank. And look at this. During that 2020 time period here, NAB went down, what was it, just on 60%. So it was sold down more heavily. Let's see here, ANZ. So ANZ sort of sits between the two. And here we go, drum roll and income CBA. Yep, the outperformer. Look at that. So CBA has done over 200% returns since 2007. And all the other banks here have way underperformed relative to CBA. Okay, relative to CBA. Now, look, just to be clear, this does not take into account dividends and or franking credits. Now, the banks have franking credits. The banks, of course, pay dividends. Let's just assume, on average, dividends and franking credits have been a muchness. Sure, some years, some of the banks have been a little bit better than others, give or take, but it all sort of comes out in the wash. I think it's fair to say that it's been fairly similar in terms of the dividends and or franking credits. The dividends and franking credits offered by the banks in Australia are very, very impressive. All right, but I'm just going to take that out and just look at pure raw performance in terms of the share price. CBA is definitely your outperformer here. Now, here comes the twist. I'm going to throw in another stock, Ria Group. I'm going to put this one in. All right, it's a blue chip stock in Australia. Let's put that one in here. Wow, look at that. Look at that relative outperformance. It's up over 4,000% since 2007. Let's just do this. Let's go back and look over 5 years, because maybe it's not entirely fair to go back, say, 18 years. One might argue, well, okay, well, let's go back 5 years then. Over 5 years, you can see, look at that, CBA and Ria pretty much neck on neck in terms of their performance, followed by NAB, Westpac Bank, and ANZ. And let's have a look here over the last year. How have all of these stacked up? All right, so there we go. Look at that, CBA and Ria Group once again. Top of the pops, followed by Westpac and NAB and ANZ sort of neck on neck in terms of their performances. But you can see a common theme that's developing here. So it doesn't really sort of matter which time period I'm looking at. It looks to me that CBA is your standout. And for a bit of a twist, you might even want to consider benchmarking some other stocks. In this example, I've put in Ria, but of course, come into VectorVest and put in the ones that you want to benchmark. If you like the look of this, why not take it a trial? Give VectorVest a go for 30 days. Put in all your key stocks, benchmark them against each other. How do your stocks stack up relative to other stocks that you are looking at or invested in? I hope you got a lot out of this short presentation. Until next time, bye for now.